Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Bank Shop Breakdown. We're going to go over 5 college basketball games for Monday, November 20th, 2023. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your college basketball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my $19 Bank Shop best bet, as well as my all-access season pass in college hoops, you can find those at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. Alrighty, let's get into it. Here are the games for Monday in college basketball. First up, it's Tennessee and Syracuse. This one, 2:30 Eastern. It's going to be on ESPN2, a part of the Maui Invitational in Honolulu, so of course a neutral site game. Now, for Tennessee, playing well to start the season, 3-0 start. They took down Wisconsin, their most impressive victory on the road, a 10-point win, 80-70, the final score. Syracuse also 3-0. They played some weaker opponents, New Hampshire, Canisius, and Colgate. They are 0-3 against the number to start the season, but they were in the favorite role in all 3 of those games. Now we see them as an underdog in this matchup, catching double-digit worth of points, and I think that there's some value there with Syracuse. This is a team that's been known to be a tournament-style team. We've seen them make some big runs in the NCAA tournament. It's pretty high seeds. Jim Boeheim's teams. I know Jim Boeheim not there anymore, but this is still a solid Syracuse program. It's rebuilding program, but when you look at Syracuse offensively, a pretty good shooting team. They take care of the basketball. They force a lot of turnovers. Tennessee's offense, not really what it's known for. The defense is super strong year after year. It's third in the country right now in adjusted defensive efficiency. But I worry that it's not going to be able to score enough points in this game to cover such a big number. And we've seen in recent years Tennessee not playing the best basketball on the road. I know they played well in that true road game against Wisconsin, but in neutral site games and road games last year, we saw them lose 7 games in the SEC last season, and 6 of those were on the road. So I wouldn't want to lay a big number like this with Tennessee. Even though they are the better team. I think Syracuse competes here, covers this number. I think Tennessee wins, Syracuse covers. Give me the points with the orange. Next up, we see Purdue and Gonzaga, also part of the Maui Invitational, so of course a neutral site game, 5 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2 as well. One of the better games not only on the board for Monday, but in non-conference college basketball in general. 2 of the better programs in college hoops in the last decade, and a rematch from last year's game back on November 25th. That was a all-Purdue game, 84-66 Boilermakers in a blowout. And, this is a matchup where I know Gonzaga's playing with revenge, but I like Purdue yet again this season. I like what I've seen from Purdue so far. And, we've seen in recent years, we always say, Gonzaga's got such a potent offense, and most teams just can't hang around with that offense. The defense, not so great, but the offense is just so strong. But Purdue this year is number 1 in the country in adjusted offensive efficiency, and they also back it up with a top 15 defense. I think that's the difference. I think both of these teams can score plenty of buckets, but at the end of the day, I think Purdue has the better chance at getting consistent stops. I don't love the fact that Gonzaga's not really forcing a lot of turnovers to start the year. Zach Edey was a big problem in last year's matchup. He scored plenty of points, had a really good field goal percentage in that ball game. I think it'll be another issue in this one for Gonzaga as well, and that's with no Drew Timme this season for the Zags. So I'm going to go with Purdue here. I like their chances at the neutral site. Give me the Boilermakers. Next up, we see St. Joseph's taking on Kentucky. This one's 7 o'clock Eastern. It's going to be on the SEC Network. It's a part of the Wildcat Challenge, so it is a true home game for Kentucky. I think Kentucky wins this game, but I do think St. Joseph's keeps it close, and we're getting actually a really good number because of St. Joe's last game against Texas A&M Commerce. I know it's a tough loss to take, 57-54 home game. It's a big upset loss, but Texas A&M Commerce was one of the better teams in its conference last year, a program on the rise, and I do think that St. Joe's will be able to bounce back from that game. Fundamentally, they've been pretty strong this year. They take care of the ball. They force turnovers, solid rebounding numbers. They don't take too many fouls, and they have a top 15 two-point defense. I think they can compete there with Kentucky. Kentucky's done a good job at most of those things. Their offensive rebounding numbers not really where they want to be to start the year. Kentucky's offense, 10th ranked in adjusted offensive efficiency, but St. Joe's top 100 on the defensive end. So I think St. Joseph's, their first 3 games, they look really strong in those ball games, and that includes a win over Penn, who beat Villanova earlier in non-conference play. I think Kentucky wins this game, but I just think it's too many points. Give me St. Joe's plus the points at Rupp Arena. Next up, we see Virginia and Wisconsin. This one's 6 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be on Fox Sports 1, a part of the Fort Myers tip-off, so a neutral site game yet again. We're going to see a lot of neutral site games this week in college hoops. This should be a great matchup between 2 similar teams, 2 similar styles of basketball. Wisconsin this year, though, has sped up their tempo a little bit more than what we're used to seeing. Last year they were 337th in adjusted tempo. This season they're in the top 100 for one of the faster teams in college hoops. That'll probably change as the season goes on and they play tougher teams, and that includes a game like this. But Virginia, 361st in adjusted tempo. They are a very, very slow team on both sides of the ball. But, Wisconsin, the one thing that this team does really well offensively, pretty much year after year, is take care of the basketball. So far this year, they're top 100, but I do think they'll improve, as last year they were third in the country in turnover percentage offensively. They were second the year before, third again the year before that. Usually a top 5 team in turnover percentage with under Greg Gard. And, that's important against Virginia, a team that forces a lot of turnovers, forces a lot of tough shots. I think Wisconsin will be fine in a game like this offensively. Defensively, I think Wisconsin competes. I think they've been rather unlucky to start the year because they're 50th in adjusted defensive efficiency. However, teams are still shooting really well against them. And, teams like Tennessee, who put up 80 points in that ball game, they shot 59% from 2. I think going forward, we're going to see Wisconsin start to get some more luck on its side. And in a game like this, we're getting a pretty good price because you look at that 4-0 record for Virginia. You see Wisconsin at 2-2. Most people would say Virginia should win this game easily, but I think Wisconsin hangs in there. I'm going to take Wisconsin in this one plus the points. Next up, the final game we're talking about for Monday's card at college basketball is going to be in the Maui Invitational again. This one between UCLA and Marquette, 11:30 Eastern on ESPN2 for this one. Should be another great game here. Marquette 3-0, UCLA 3-0, but you got to look at the teams that these teams played so far. Marquette, they took on Northern Illinois and Rider, 2 decent mid-major schools, and then beat Illinois on the road, true road game, 71-64. Solid win there, covering the spread, of course. UCLA, however, they played 3 home games, and all 3 of those games were against sub-320 teams in KenPom. St. Francis, Lafayette, and LIU. You could argue LIU and St. Francis, 2 of the top 10 worst teams in college basketball to start the year. So this is really the first test of the season for the Bruins, and I know it's not a true road game, but still a neutral site game against a top 5 team in the AP rankings. I just think it's going to be tough here for the Bruins. I think this is a really talented team. I like what Mick Cronin did in the recruiting class. They lost a lot of production over the years, but Marquette just seems really loaded here. And the big thing for Marquette, the one thing I thought that held back Marquette the last couple of seasons, really making a deep run, is their rebounding numbers. Back in a couple seasons ago, they were one of the weaker teams in college basketball in rebounding. Just last year, when you look at the numbers, 248th in offensive, 312th in defensive rebounding percentage. They're improving slightly. They still have some work to do, but they're improving there. They're taking care of the basketball. Obviously, their shooting numbers are great. Their up-tempo offense is working. Top 20 in both offensive and defensive adjusted efficiency. I got to go with Marquette, which should be a great game, but I'm going to go with Marquette here and lay the points. And that's it. Those are the games for Monday in college basketball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to put your college basketball picks in the comments section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.